Hello, everybody. Hi. Hello. Much better. This is the energy we want because the next session we have is a heavy hitter. The Beauty Beat is always full of fantastic talks and masterclasses, but we're really going to get into a real meaty one right now. This is the big beauty talk, and we're going to dive way beyond just the products and stuff and really get into what beauty means to us, which, as I know you know, that's a big conversation. It's a layered one. And thankfully, we have some of the best in the biz to talk us through it. So I'm going to hand over to the wonderful Rhea Cartwright. Let me invite her to the stage, give her a warm welcome, who will be moderating this conversation. Fun one, and I'm going to leave you to it. Make sure you take notes, video everything, and tag at the Beauty Beat. Duh. Enjoy, Rhea.
Thank you. Happy Sunday, everybody. I am so thrilled to be here. Also, I feel like the sun has come out today. As yesterday, it was pouring. My panel today, I'm a bit biased, but I think is the best lineup all weekend. So I'm going to join by, first up, Paige Lewin. We then have Dr. Ewoma. The incredible Fats Timbo. Rhea the Light. Ella Thomas. And last but by no all means least, Dr. Vanita. Okay, guys, if you want water, there's water, get comfortable. Panel, I mean, did I just say or not, the best lineup ever. So, as Zezzy mentioned, the Big Beauty panel, yes, we're going to talk about product from concealers to leave-in conditioner, but today is more about how does beauty make you feel? What's your perspective? We know that beauty is so much about ritual and connection, but before we get deep, and we are going to go deep, panel, my lovely, gorgeous panel, please introduce yourself to the audience today.
Hello, everybody. My name is Paige. I am author of How to Love Your Afro, which is a brand new book, thank you, whoop, whoop, which is out at the moment and really helps to delve into not just how you style the hair, that's one piece, but how you feel about the hair before you want to even style it in the first place, okay? I also am the host of Texture Talks, and I am the CEO of Team Texture. So to say that my lifeblood is basically focused on making black women look and feel fabulous would be an understatement.
Next up.
Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing? Good, good, good. So my name's Dr. Ewoma. I'm a medical and cosmetic doctor of 10 years now. And when I'm not busy with that, I'm a contributing editor for Elle UK.
Hey, guys. I'm Fats Timbo. I'm a content creator. I've been a content creator for the last 8 years. And I make funny videos, so I'm a comedian as well. I'm also an author to the book called Main Character Energy, 10 Commandments to Living Life Fearlessly. And I have a condition called achondroplasia, so it makes me smaller than everyone else, but I'm still fabulous.
Hi everyone, my name's Nia, online known as Rhea the Light, and I'm the owner of the Curl Bar London. It's a salon dedicated to curls, coils and waves. I've been a content creator for 12 years now, and I'm also the author of the Book of Light.
Hey everyone, can I just say you all look gorgeous? I'm Ella, and I'm a TV personality, but also a fashion and beauty content creator.
Wow. So I've got to come after all these amazing ladies. I'm Dr. Vanita Rattan. I'm a doctor and a cosmetic formulator for Skin of Color. I'm also a content creator. I have 3.5 million followers who follow me specifically for skincare for Skin of Color. This was a very underrepresented market, and it still really is. I'm very excited about this talk today. I'm also the author of Skin Revolution, published by HarperCollins, again dedicated to Skin of Color.
Well, I did say we had a good lineup. You know, 2 doctors, multiple authors, creators. I'm like, what am I doing here? But some ground rules. Today is not going to be a stiff panel, because we all hate a stiff panel. we have a very rich panel. So we're going to have a conversation, and then you guys are going to have the chance to answer your questions later, half an hour. So please keep them in your head ready. And for those of you live streaming at home, hopefully you can hear us loud and clear as well. If you're sat at home with a cup of tea or in a dressing gown, I rate you for that, honestly. So we're going to get into the first question, which is, as I said at the beginning, beauty is not just skin deep. You know, yes, I want to find the best concealer on the market. Yes, I want my hair to look fly, but how does beauty really and truly make you feel? Paige, let's start with you. Obviously, you had the recent book, which is doing phenomenally well.
Thank you.
Tell me, what does beauty mean to you?
Beauty to me means understanding that the things that we do, such as makeup, weave, acrylics, these things are fun, but the beauty does not sit in those things. And that was one of the hardest realizations for me. Going from someone that didn't just wear wigs, the wig wore me. Like, I would not leave the house without it. And it became that my beauty, my desirability, my sexiness, my bad bee energy was in the lace front, which meant when the lace front came off, all of a sudden I felt just less than, right? And what I want people to understand when they buy me and they read my book, How to Love Your Afro, is that I don't want you to go and just suddenly light up the weaves. You don't need to set fire to the lace front. That's not what I'm trying to say. They're very expensive. What I am, however, saying is when you take it off, don't feel deflated. And you're looking at yourself in that mirror with the wig cap on, or if your sister says, hey, do you want to pop out on a quick one? And you think, oh, no, but I have to. No, you don't have to do anything. The beauty that we have, especially as Black women, it transcends so many cultures. So many different types of women exist, and we're all beautiful in our own way, but there's just a little something special about a Black woman. And we must remember that it has nothing to do with that AliExpress wig.
Not the AliExpress.
You heard me. I said exactly what I said, and I meant it, okay? So when you are getting ready, enjoy yourself, play, be creative. It'd be nonsense for me to say, as versatile as we are, not to do it. But when you do it, remember that these are extras, and we're doing it for style and not out of obligation, because we are stunning without them.
From that, want to go on to you, Dr. Ewoma. As you mentioned, an award-winning cosmetic doctor, but I feel like it comes with conversations which you deal with so eloquently and beautifully. What does beauty mean to you, and especially in your line of work?
No, 100%. I think for me, beauty really is a representation of inner beauty. But again, what does inner beauty sort of reflect on? Inner beauty for me reflects on that inner peace that you have within yourself and how much you're living within your purpose. And I think for me, you know, at the start of my career as an NHS doctor, I did not have inner peace. Let me be absolutely honest with you guys. I was miserable, depressed, and just quite frankly burnt out. But then, you know, as my career has progressed, I've really leaned to essentially just being myself. And thank God I'm at a position now where people pay me to just simply be me. And I think by leaning into that power, leaning into that purpose, has essentially made me feel so beautiful. And that's something that I advocate for all of you.
I might cry on this panel today. We are getting deep. Fats, to you, what does beauty mean?
Beauty to me, like you guys have said, it's about inner beauty, and it's also about inner acceptance. And that took me a long time to discover and actually do. For a long time, I hated how I looked. I hated how, like, when I look in the mirror, I didn't look like everyone else. You know, I'm a woman, I'm a Black woman, I'm a woman with dwarfism, and I thought those were all negatives. And then when I discovered that, do you know what? My uniqueness is beautiful, and my uniqueness is powerful. And I want to teach the world that just because you're different doesn't mean that you're ugly or you're less than. It's a superpower, for sure. So I'm glad I had the support from my family, from the support online, to actually encourage me and teach me that I'm beautiful. And I want to teach as many people as I can that just because the world beats you down doesn't mean you are that. You have to be resilient. You know, beauty is resilience as well.
Oh, yes, it 100% is. Mia, as you mentioned, you're an OG content creator with your salon.
I feel old,
You
but
don't
young
feel
at the
old,
same time.
You're anything but old. You've been doing this a long time. How was your, I guess, your relationship to social media and how that's changed? How's that affected what beauty means to you?
Well, I started Instagram when I was 16, and I'm 28 now. And when I started, I had very severe acne, and I always used to say, you know, when my skin clears, I'm going to be confident. My skin cleared on my face, but then I got body acne, and then I became so ashamed of, you know, wearing something like this. And I think beauty for me is embracing who you are now and not setting a goalpost to say, when I lose weight, when I'm more curvy, when I do this, when I do that. I think it's important for us to love ourselves now, because in 10 years' time, you're going to look at the picture of yourself now and say, I wish I loved myself then. I actually looked really good. So that's what beauty is for me, and that's how social media has impacted me, because I look at old pictures of myself and I'm like, there was nothing wrong with me. But in that moment, I felt like there was. So embrace who you are now, because trust me, guys, you'll regret not doing it later.
Such an important message, such an important message. Ella, I mean, you took over our screens in Love Island, and I guess with that came a huge amount of visibility and eyeballs. Has that affected your relationship to beauty? What does it mean to you?
I would say for myself, it's been a journey with beauty. I would always see it as an inside job, like everyone else said. You know, there can be times where you just don't feel good inside and you can be looking stunning and someone could tell you that, but you're like, no, because I don't feel that way. And for me, growing up somewhere where there wasn't a lot of people that looked like me, and I didn't see a lot of people and like represented in the spaces that looked similar to me, it took me a long time to embrace my uniqueness and embrace my skin color, embrace my curls. I mean, I used to be on the straighteners frying off my curls. I know some curly girls could relate, but there wasn't a curl in sight. And it took me a long time as I got older to realize me and my natural state is beautiful, and I don't need to straighten my hair. I don't need to try and fit in with, you know, all the white girls that I'm surrounded by. And by the time that I went on Love Island, I feel like I was really at that point of confidence. So when I went on the show, you know, I rocked my curls, I rocked the different styles, I embraced who I was.
You rocked it full stop. Like, your energy was the best energy on that season, for sure.
Thank you. But yeah, it took a journey to just love myself in the natural state and realize it's not exactly what I look like outside, but as long as I feel good inside, that's going to show.
100%. There's a lot of talk about, I guess, enoughness and worthiness. Dr. Vanita, again, in your practice, you see many different people, but I'm curious what beauty means to you and also how that then impacts your relationship with your patients.
Yeah, really good question. And I actually agree with everything all the ladies have said on the stage. But from more of a medical perspective, one thing we don't talk about enough is that every skin condition and hair condition gets worse when you are stressed. Okay? Everything. Whether it's eczema, whether it's hair loss, whether it's psoriasis, whether it's aging, whether it's premature graying of the hair, every single aspect worsens when you are stressed, when your cortisol levels are high. So as I've aged, now I'm in my 40s, and now I'm understanding more about how my inner peace is actually so important for my outer body too. So really reiterating what Doc here has said as well. So for me now, meditation has become a very important part of my beauty ritual, which is what I do now morning and night to keep my cortisol levels low, anti-inflammatory diets to keep my cortisol levels low. And that has a huge impact then on everything on the outside. You'll notice yourself, you'll look in the mirror and if you're not feeling good inside, you're not gonna look good outside either. And there can be times you've got no makeup on, not a scrap on the face, but you feel good inside. And you look in the mirror and your skin is glowing. Have you guys noticed that? Hands up if you guys have seen that. Yeah? So really, beauty for me on the outside really does, and not just as a phrase that we say, it really does start on the inside and with our low cortisol levels and our peace.
I love that. I always say with me, it's meditation or I might kill somebody. So, you know, me and Insight Timer are best friends. Obviously, Beauty Beat is the first luxury beauty show for women of colour. And I got here quite early and I had to walk around. And for me, I mean, I worked in luxury beauty and I still do for 10 plus years. And I have never seen so many women of colour shopping at these brands in these department stores. And it really was a reminder that actually in a lot of these spaces, we are still very much the other. Yeah. But what I'm so curious about for the second question is, being the other, especially living over here, how has your culture and your background really shaped your attitude? And we're going to go in reverse this time to make it fair. So Vanita, we're going to start with you. In terms of your heritage, how has that impacted your relationship to beauty? And perhaps, stereotypes or norms, how did you shape yourself through the context of your culture?
So a really good question. So looking at me, you're probably making the assumption, okay, so she's all about Ayurvedic medicine, right? That's okay, it's fine, it's a stereotype, it's okay.
Where are you from, actually?
I'm Indian.
You're Indian, okay.
Yeah. But actually, I come from a science background. My parents are both scientists, and so everything was evidence-based information. And so my mum actually had a cosmetics company, and I learned after medical school, I went and became a cosmetic formulator for Skin of Color. And I thought, okay, we learn everything from PubMed. Like, we look at double-blinded clinical trials to see what ingredients are good for Skin of Color. Guess what? When I went to do this, it didn't exist. There were no papers specifically for Skin of Color on what percentage actives we should be using on our skin. And so me very naively thought, I'm going to go and create this first ever hyperpigmentation treatment, professional grade for Skin of Color. I'm just going to copy what's on PubMed and put the formula together. But that information wasn't even there. It was a vacuum of information. So it took 5 years for me to figure out what percentage actives don't burn our faces, what percentage actives we can combine, and how do we get really good results for hyperpigmentation but without causing inflammation and more PIH. And so because my background really was...
Can you just explain, sorry, for the people that don't know what PIH means?
Oh, PIH, post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. Let me rewind a little bit, good question. So a lot of the hyperpigmentation treatments were made for Caucasian skin, for white skin. And a lot of them can burn our skin, and when our skin burns, our melanocytes, the cells producing the pigment melanin, become hyperactive and start producing too much pigment. Anyone ever seen a spot that then leads to a black mark? Hands up if you've seen that, right? This doesn't happen to white skin. This only happens to Skin of Color. And so majority of the treatments at the time were being made for Caucasian skin. So imagine creating a treatment for hyperpigmentation for white skin. It's not going to be the same formula that we need for Skin of Color. So it took 5 years for me just to figure that much out. And it's because of my heritage, because of my family backing, that I was able to then put the ingredients together, create the treatment, but also then publish the book and give the information to formulators globally who could then go and start creating products for Skin of Color. And so that's how that's impacted the work that I do and the life that I have.
It's amazing. Ella, you touched briefly on growing up in Scotland, being kind of one of one. How has your culture shaped how you see beauty?
For me, being from mixed ethnicities, it was always important to me to embrace both cultures, especially being in Scotland. When I was there, I was the only black person in my school. And even my family, I grew up with more of my white side of the family. But as I kind of got older, it was really important to me to keep in touch with my Nigerian side, to go Nigeria every year, which I loved doing. And I think that helped me learn a lot about that other part of me, that when I was younger, I would be a bit confused because my whole family was white, all my friends were white. I was so different. I remember when I was little, I had a little curly afro, and my mum tried to make me go to nursery with my curly afro out, and I literally cried, please don't let me go, because the other girls would laugh at me because, well, it was so different to them. But over the years, just going Nigeria regularly, when I moved to London as well, I saw so many more people that looked like me. It made me feel at ease. Being on Instagram, finding girls using the eco gel, I was like, oh, I can learn how to slick my hair. And now I just embrace the two different parts of me, which just plays a big part in embracing that, I am different in that way, but I love both sides of my culture.
100%. Ella, not Ella, Nia, I'm sure probably you can resonate with some of that as well, being dual heritage, but how is your culture? You're from Zimbabwe, correct?
Any Zimbabweans here? Hey.
Well, they're all sat together as well.
Right. We stick together.
Literally.
That's one thing about Zimbos. I'm very proud to be Zimbabwean, but I wasn't always, and I think it's shaped who I am today. I grew up in Enfield, which is in North London, and there was no one.
No shout out for Enfield, by the way.
Right, there's no one from Enfield here. But in school, I was the only person of color, just like Ella. But in my home, it was very Zimbabwean. From ebony wood statues to us eating, our version of pounded jam is called sadza. And I remember my friend Georgia came over to my house and she saw, you know, we used to have this carer look after us. She had her head wrapped and she had a scarf on and a dress. And she went back to school and she was like, Nia's mom was eating this white stuff on the floor, because we love eating on the floor in Zim. It makes us feel like a sense of family. And I was so ashamed and everyone laughed. But now when you come to my house, you know I'm from Zimbabwe. I have loads of statues everywhere, loads of artwork, but I'll still eat my English roast dinner in that same home. So I really tried to embody every part of me, and I think that's what's helped me to walk through life with grace and confidence, because I'm not ashamed to be from Zim and eat the white stuff on the floor, and I'm not ashamed to eat my roast dinner. So
Also
I love
on the
combining
floor,
them.
the roast dinner?
No.
It's Sunday after all. Like, how big is your house?
No, that one's on the marble kitchen counter.
Okay, fine. But we'll still come.
Right.
Fats, for you, how has your culture and background shaped how you see beauty?
I think for me, being from Sierra Leone, anyone from Sierra Leone? Yeah, there's always few of us, but you know, we're loud and you know, we're loud with our little numbers. But I think for me, growing up as a Sierra Leonean, eating cassava leaves, peanut butter stew, we just love our food. I think for me as well, we love our African hall parties. I think from then, I knew I could dance. I knew I was shaking my waist then, right? And that's when my parents put me into dance school, and I found confidence in dance. I found confidence in being free with my body and feeling like, do you know what? I'm on this stage, but I feel like nobody's looking at the same time. So I think for me, being free and being a African Sierra Leonean girl just taught me to be confident in myself and in my body and how I move.
There's something so powerful about dance, and I love that you mentioned that. You know, there's such a freedom. When you hear loud music, and even without a stage, I could be in my living room, it's so freeing, and I think that that's a beautiful thing to touch on. Ewoma, for you, how has your culture shaped your attitude to beauty?
For me, culture has really shaped the way that I perceive and sort of define beauty in so many different ways. I like to kind of classify even, you know, with it being culture within the home and outside of the home. So, you know, in my formative years, the culture within the home was one of confidence, being proud of yourself. And that was really driven by my mum. My mum is everything to me. You know, she's the classic, vivacious Nigerian auntie, full of life. You know, and she, you know, on her exterior is very much someone that, particularly when positioned within sort of Western sort of ideals of beauty, is someone that shouldn't be calling themselves beautiful, you know? She's larger than life, size 18, like 5'2", like we literally...
Your mum's 5'2", and you're so tall.
Yeah, let's just say the hype dream skipped a generation. That came from my grandparents. But, you know, someone that classically, from a Western point of view, shouldn't deem themselves as beautiful, but that didn't stop her whatsoever. She thought she was the best thing on
As
this
she should.
earth. You know, and I just have so sort of many fond memories growing up of her in her knee-high boots, you know, cleavage, crucifix, you know, chain in between the breast with her gold MAC chintz lipstick. And yeah, that was just everything for me. And she was constantly just sort of pushing me to be confident about myself, even if at the time I was like a skinny, smelly teenager and felt far from beautiful.
Smelly.
Yeah. I feel
One
like
thing, you always smell good.
Phase.
No, I don't even imagine you as a teenager at a smelly phase. I refuse to
It was the hormones. I blame the hormones. And then outside of the home, for me, and I think really my mission within this industry has been helping women to sort of define their ideals of beauty. And again, you know, injectables aren't for everyone by any means. You know, I don't force it upon anyone at all. But for me, it's just using that as a tool for women to feel more confidence within themselves. Obviously not depending on it, but in a healthy sense, really just defining, you know, what feels beautiful for them. And then on a more sort of broader level, you know, there's been conversations with regards to how sort of, you know, our ethnic backgrounds have really informed our sort of view of beauty. And for me, just to add to that conversation, this is why I really advocate for, us in the diaspora to really go back home at least once a year. And that, whether that be, the country of your origin or even just another sort of Black, Afro-Caribbean country. And I think just by going back home at least once a year just really helps to reset and reshape sort of your perceptions of beauty. Because I find that whenever I go back home, for the first time, say that year, but, being a Black woman, you are the center of beauty. You are the ideal of beauty. When you go back home, you see sort of billboards, TV, adverts, where it's just you, the Black family, or even the Asian family, depending on where you come from. And I think we really underestimate what that does to us on a deeper psychological level and how edifying it can be. So yes, that's how culture shapes the way that I perceive beauty.
Actually raised such a good point in terms of the campaigns and media. I always think as we're coming into the festive season, every year there'll be the one Black family in the John Lewis advert or the Tesco advert. And quite often that actually comes under attack. I remember, was it last year, the Tesco advert or one of the supermarkets, it was like, oh my God, the one Black family. And it's, you go back home and actually they're all Black families because they're in a Black country.
It's everything. And if I can just add to that, Rhea, as well, I think what this is and, explaining that, we see just the white family on TV. A lot of us, were born in this country. And it really is, symptomatic of something that I call weathering, where bit by bit, only seeing people who don't look like you, only seeing white faces in every single facet of society, how that just really chips away at you very insidiously and at your sense of self-confidence. Even if you're a very confident person, I think from time to time we can really internalize that.
Paige, I like sitting next to you because I can hear all of your constant. She's yes-ing and nodding and amen
I'm
the
in
whole
the room.
time. Yeah, you're here. You're
No,
present.
I'm here.
Talk to me about your background. Maybe share with us where you're from and how that background has impacted your relationship.
Any Jamaicans in the room? I knew you would be. So, one thing that I really have to say about being Jamaican and being raised Jamaican is that we have this internal, intrinsic belief in our self-worth and our beauty, and you can't tell us anything. Even if we look mash up, you can't tell us. We wouldn't believe it. And I think that there's a level of confidence that there was a period of time where me and my mum would go back to Jamaica quite a bit. There was a period of time, strangely enough, the same time that I feel like I was being somewhat indoctrinated here, that just money wasn't there. You know how it goes. And I wasn't going back. And I feel like as I've gone through this journey, maybe from 27 to now, I'm 32, and taken off the wigs, learned how to love myself, battled with why I didn't like my reflection, all these really uncomfortable situations. God made it so that from when that started happening, for whatever reason, I happened to keep going back. So I've been back once/twice a year every single time. And it does do something to you. And when I tell you, listen, the way that Jamaican people make me feel when I'm out there, I don't want to come home. And it's having that affirmation that I knew it. I knew it. I knew it's because I'm the minority here. But it's not because I'm not stunning. And that reminder is required sometimes when the streets are cold in London. You need the reminder because the continuous battle against these beauty standards, you get tired. Sometimes it gets tiring and you think, you know what, for a quiet life and a good job, let me just put on the lace front. But I really, I said what I said. But I really felt when I was writing How to Love Your Afro, I wrote probably the most important parts of it. Again, by God's grace, I happened to be home, Jamaica, for 3 weeks. Supposed to be a holiday. I spent the whole time writing. And being barefoot, afro out, sweating, drinking good water for 3 weeks whilst writing that, I think produced the best quality book I could have ever imagined. Because I truly felt like I was in tune with what it meant to feel beautiful and black. and I wasn't cooped up in my little East London flat looking outside feeling depressed. I was in the middle of paradise with people constantly affirming me, black people constantly telling me I'm beautiful, and vice versa, seeing black people everywhere. And it got to the point where I was writing it and I got really, really emotional. That's why I say that book has a little piece of me in it. It has a little piece of me is in every single one of those books.
Ooh, beautiful. So well said. Well done. Well, we're meant to stop this in 1 minute, 23 seconds. So before we get to your questions, so the last question, and if we can, kind of go quickly, but don't rush. No, the thing is, I like the length, but they'd kick us out. If it was my way, we'd go another hour.
They'll tell us to leave.
This is going to be about product or advice. And I think it's remiss of us to have one of the best beauty panel lineup I've ever seen and not ask you about advice or tips. So, Paige, do you want to go first?
Yep.
What's the
Keep this
best
short and snappy.
the
Oh,
best
no.
tip you've ever had?
I've got it. Apply gentle heat when you are conditioning your hair. Use a heat hat, ideally mine.
Where can we buy it?
It's from teamtexture.co.uk. Done.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ewoma?
Yeah, my top beauty tip is essentially to realize that black does crack, so please don't rely on that. You know, I love to indulge in injectable treatments. I don't hide that, and I definitely advocate for them as well in a very healthy way. But whenever you are getting any sort of cosmetic treatment, please, 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 just aim to look like the best version of yourself. Not anyone else, not like that cute girl on Instagram, just the best version of yourself.
Fats?
Mine is advice. It has to be the best makeup for me is confidence. I can't lie. It's confidence, because I always say to people that confidence doesn't grow overnight. It's like a muscle. You have to exercise it every single day for it to grow. And if you stop growing it, it's gonna go flat. So you gotta keep working on it. You gotta keep facing your fears, and you gotta keep exercising the fears that you have in your mind that you could beat. It's as simple as that.
Out of interest, like, how do you do that? Are you into journaling? Are you an affirmation girly? Like, how do you
I
exercise?
am somebody that likes a challenge. So whether I'm going to challenge myself in the gym and maybe go up in weight in a certain machine or something, or, well, the worst thing for me was when I did Don't Look Down. I did a show called Don't Look Down, and
I don't know.
I basically
I like the sound of it already. I don't like heights.
I basically was challenged to walk across a 90-meter wire, 200 meters up in the air
Oh, thank you.
for charity. And at first, I thought, how am I going to do this? And by the end of it, when I actually did it, I felt like I could face the world, you know? And one of the challenges that we had to do to conquer it, we had to walk on a bridge, and I fell off it, and it was the most scariest thing ever, with a harness, obviously. I'm still here to live the tale. But, you know, it was one of the most scariest things. And now I can say heights are a little bit less scary.
Yeah, literally. Nia, for you, a tip or advice?
My tip is to do with beauty, but I think beauty also aligns with healing. And I've been on a very intentional healing journey with myself this year. And my tip would be to spend time with your inner child. Take your inner child out on a date. I used to love going to Claire's, so sometimes I take myself to Claire's and act as if she's there with me. And that's helped me to realize how much of a fly woman I am, and also how proud she would be of me. So spend time with your inner selves and love on them deeply.
Ella?
My tip would be to treat your beauty routine like self-care. Like, take your time with it, do it because you love yourself and you're pouring some love into yourself, and just do it as a routine because you want to feel good, not because you want to look perfect.
And Vanita?
My one would be, specifically for skin of color, is to respect the melanocyte. That cell that produces the pigment melanin. If you make it angry, it will never forgive you. If you pick that spot, 10 years later, that mark is staring back at you in the mirror. And this is the reason I started my YouTube channel. It is a non-sponsored channel. I don't accept payment from any brand ever. And I go through ingredients lists of every single product on the market to tell you whether it's worth your money or whether you should avoid it, whether it's made for brown and black skin or whether we should avoid it. So if you're not following me on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, like, make sure you start Dr. Vanita Rattan. I got that from you, Paige.
Listen, I support the promo. We're going to move over to questions. So we have got 3 roving mics. So if you have a question, put your hand up and one of the team will come over to you. Don't be shy. Okay, middle.
Hello, do I have to stand up? Hello, thank you so much for that. My question is actually towards you, Dr. V. I've been to your clinic a long time ago, before you even did your YouTube channel. So thank you for that, it really did help me. My question is, even if you don't pick that spot, even if you leave it, even if you do put the pimple patch or, you know, whatever kind of creams that you need to do, sometimes it still scars, and I don't understand
Beautiful
why.
question.
And how
Let's
do I stop
explain
it?
this. I'm going to quickly go through the anatomy of acne, just if that's okay with you guys. So what happens is, when you get acne, imagine your pore is like this, and it starts to fill up with sebum, right? At the top, we get something called hyperkeratinization, lots of sticky skin cells at the top, and now you've got no oxygen in the pore. Then P. acnes bacteria starts to eat on the sebum and produces something called free fatty acids. Those free fatty acids are irritating as hell. And guess what happens when you irritate skin of color? It hyperpigments. And you don't even need to pick the spot for that to happen. So what I always say is it's so important for our children to be educated on skincare and to be using things like salicylic acid and niacinamide from a younger age than Caucasians kids. Does that make sense? It's important for us to control as much as we can. Don't wait until you've already got the spot, because by that point, it's a little bit too late. You're already getting some inflammation happening in the skin. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. Thank you. Good question, though. And
Also, I like that we're getting like beauty and a science lesson. You know, like
I go a bit heavy sometimes.
No, we need it, but also I feel like sometimes the education piece is what's missing.
Yeah.
So we don't know what to look out for or what to do. So yeah, we needed that.
Thank you.
Yes, any more questions? We've got on the, well, my right.
Hi.
Someone's coming towards, oh, someone's there, sorry.
I'm getting to that time in my life where the body's changing slightly, and I've noticed some growth of hairs on my chin. I've been told about electrolysis and also laser, but I'm really worried about pigmentation. So just wondered what your thoughts were about a permanent solution.
Is that to me?
Well, I think, first of all, listen, chin hairs, I'm in the club with you, girl. And they've been growing. I'm 34. They've been there since, we call them whiskers in my family.
Whiskers?
Whiskers.
Anyway.
You're right, your whiskers are out. I get the tweezers. But I think I should pass to the doctors for this. Ewoma, you've spoken a lot, actually, about laser hair removal as well.
Yeah, so I absolutely swear by laser hair removal. What I'll say about laser hair removal, though, is that it's a somewhat semi-permanent solution. It's not a permanent solution by any means. I know they typically do sell it that way, but it's not. And, you know, you should expect to see significant hair reduction for at least a couple of years. But it is that thing where, you know, periodically you will have to top it up. In terms of specific lasers that I personally swear by and advocate for, are essentially ND-YAG lasers. So ND-YAG lasers are suitable for those of us with darker skin tones, because with that in mind, we can't just use whatever laser we want to, because that's where you get things like post-inflammatory, hyperpigmentation, hypopigmentation even, and other such awful things. So when you go to clinic, be sure to ask for this specific machine, because again, not all laser machines are equal. Be sure to ask for the soprano laser. Another type of laser that's super popular in a lot of these sort of chain clinics is the Candela machine. Again, you can get great results with the Candela. However, based on personal experience, it's quite painful. like really painful. So skip that, go for the soprano, and essentially just uses like a probe with some jelly, like an ultrasound. Then it just sort of moves along the body part that you want to remove hair. Really easy, really enjoyable, minimal discomfort, and I've personally seen great results. So that's what I'd recommend when it comes to hair removal for darker skin tones.
1 second, because she did say something about electrolysis, and I'm just following up for a friend. How bad is the pigmentation off the back of that? Because I've heard it can be really bad.
Well, again, I think it's down to the actual sort of user of the machine, so based upon their skill set. But when it's used properly, it shouldn't cause hyperpigmentation whatsoever. But again, what you can do concurrently is use a tyrosinase inhibitor. So a tyrosinase inhibitor is essentially a long sort of word for essentially an ingredient that blocks that sort of melanin-producing pathway. An example of tyrosinase inhibitor are some of the ingredients that we all know and love. So things like vitamin C, arbutin, and on a prescription level, hydroquinone. So again, obviously be sure to speak to the laser clinic that you're doing the electrolysis. But what you can do is use such ingredients concurrently just to mitigate any potential chance of any sort of post-hyperpigmentation.
Thank you.
I'll send you the products.
We had somebody over this side. Yes.
Hi, hello. This question is for Dr. Stunning Brown Dress.
Hi.
You did mention about some of the melanin inhibitors, and a question that I've got is about the lips. So we know that for the skin, you can use kojic acid and alpha-arbutin and things like that, but for the lip, what would you recommend for people, for the girls, for the ladies who are trying to get rid of the dark lip?
Really good question. And if I can answer it on a twofold basis, first of all, some hyperpigmentation to the lip is completely normal. And again, I say this in a supportive way and obviously definitely not a critical point of view whatsoever, but I think more broadly speaking, not you, more broadly speaking, I think definitely a rhetoric that I've seen online is this, oh my God, you've got dark lips, that's awful. And it's like, actually, if you look at most of us around the room, our lips are quite pigmented, and that's just a normal variation of being one of a deeper skin tone. So that's the first thing I'd say. And the reason I want to emphasize that is because with all treatments and interventions, you really need to manage your expectations and be clear on what the sort of, what I like to call ceiling of happiness is, So if we're aiming for complete 100% eradication of hyperpigmentation, then that's a little bit delulu. So definitely, I advocate for, at best, an improvement. It's really frustrating because what I have found is that on the market, there aren't really a ton of solutions that are specifically formulated for the lip itself. But definitely, apart from kojic acid, I love arbutin. That's another great one. That's kind of like the little sister to hydroquinone, which obviously I know for a lot of us has a bad rep, but it is very much one of the gold standards in the industry for treating hyperpigmentation. Also just generally exfoliating the lip as well. So what a lot of kind of lip balms and scrubs have now are things like glycolic acid within them, lactic acid, and that's a really good fail-safe way. But of course, it's that fine balance between treating and addressing the hyperpigmentation of the lip and not accidentally ingesting one of these ingredients.
Can I add
that's
one
my point of view on that.
one more thing
Please
to this,
do.
actually? Agree with everything you said. And I also wanted to add, a lot of the lipsticks on the market were not formulated again for skin of color. So certain ingredients I would tell you to look out for would be fragrances, for example. All those juicy tubes that smell delicious, they were not made for us because they can lead to irritation and then hyperpigmentation. So one of the things I'm formulating at the moment is an anti-hyperpigmentation lipstick with SPF 50 mineral, which just doesn't exist because women of color, we were never the center of formulas. We were the periphery and just sort of like one size fits all. So one thing I would say is education is key. Look at your ingredients. Look at the lipsticks. Does it have perfume in it? Does it have any colors that can be irritants in it? Is it matte? A lot of these mattifying ingredients can lead to lip hyperpigmentation. Have some of you noticed in the summer, you're wearing the lipstick and suddenly your lips have gone black afterwards? This is the reason why. And I think it's down to us and educating ourselves on inky lists of lipsticks to see whether it's good for us or not.
Thank you. Right, panel number one from the front row.
My question's for Dr. Ewoma. I'm in my 30s, and I wanted to know, when would you recommend that we start using, like, specifically, like, anti-aging injectables? I've got, like, smile lines. They don't bother me for now, but in the next few years, they might bother me. So I was just wondering, like, when would you recommend that we start using anti-aging injectables, and yeah, just basically how to introduce it to ourselves, if I'm making sense?
No, absolutely. That's a really good question, and a question that I get quite frequently. There's no real sort of set age to start these treatments. I would say be guided by sort of at what point, you know, it starts to bother you. That should sort of be your North Star as to whether you should or shouldn't, you know, start treatment. What I would absolutely say off the bat is the fact that we're all melanated here means that we age way slower. So we're only going to be thinking about these things in our 30s and even maybe our 40s. But, you know, even before we think about injectables, what I would say is just starting with the foundations. I think, you know, we're in the age of FOMO and we go straight to injectables, but actually thinking on a foundational level, what is your skincare routine like? You know, within your skincare routine, are you implementing, you know, results-driven actives such as retinoids, making sure that you're using sunscreen diligently? So starting with that, so first of all, your skincare routine. And then before, again, you even think about putting needles in your face, doing things like regular sort of medical facials, within that incorporating things like chemical peels, microneedling. If you're feeling a little bit more fancy, you can then up level to energy-based treatments. And so specifically with that, one of my favorite energy-based treatments is something called Ulthera, also known as Ultherapy. And that uses ultrasound technology, and it's fantastic for just sort of targeting some of the jowling and sort of sagginess that we can experience to our lower face. So that's a quick, easy, kind of non-invasive way to really improve that. Once you've done all of that, and you've been doing all of that for some time, then you can move on to injectables. Because if you want to maintain the results of a lot of injectables, you need to keep on doing them. And then, of course, that's going to be your Botox, your filler. I definitely say there's a real drive in the industry right now to use non-filler sort of injectables, so specifically things like Sculptra, where you're really just inducing sort of natural collagen within your skin and within your body. So that's my whistle-stop tour to what you should do from your 30s.
We're all trying to get a consultation with you, basically.
It always happens.
Yes, number one.
Hiya, my name's Comfort. My question is a bit more of a personal one about confidence. Obviously, you guys have talked about like confidence and how your culture has shaped how you are, etc. I just wanted to know if there was like kind of like a light bulb moment or an occasion or something that happened to you that really shifted your mindset and made you just kind of, you know, just channel your inner everything and just kind of be like, you know what, whatever, I'm just going to do this. And, you know, sometimes you have that like occasion or someone said something to you, not necessarily negative, and it's just kind of made you like boost. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yes, I do.
I want to hear this.
Yeah,
Go, you go. Take it, girl.
It was the realization when I basically used a glue I should not have used. It was a very cheap glue, right? It was a bad glue. And I used it and I got a rash right here. And of course, if you've got a rash there, then you can't be putting more glue on to then lay the lace. And if you can't lay the lace, you can't wear the wig. But I worked in corporate sales, and the white people hadn't seen me without my wig. So I thought, there's just no way. I don't want to. No, thank you. So I called in sick. And I'm a sales director with a team. I'm very good at my job, and I didn't call in sick when I was sick. But I'm sat at home on a Sunday evening, and I'm having to call in sick because I cannot lay my lace. That's too far. The same realization happened again, because of course I kept wearing the wigs. But then it was maybe a year or so, and I didn't feel well, and I wanted to go to the shop and just pick up, must have been milk and bread, I don't even remember, but I'm sick, and I'm trying to like, trying to lay my lace whilst I'm unwell to go and buy bread. I can't just go to the shop like this, no. And it's this constant recurring reminder that the wig was the only way I could leave my house. And there was no middle ground, where I realized all of these defensive mechanisms, I just like it. I could wear my hair anytime. I think I look great with it, but it's not. These were defenses because really I needed it. and the realization that I needed it, it was no longer fun anymore, was where I had to draw the line and go cold turkey so that I could bring it back to being fun.
Did you just go cold turkey when you stopped wearing wigs?
Yes. Oh, yes. I went cold turkey on everything. And when I say everything, scaled back on makeup, jewelry. I kept my nails. These stayed. But I just realized that I didn't come out the womb with all these things. I didn't come out with a contour and a heavy lash, you know? So I need to find a way to bring it back.
I'm going to extend that question out fast. Tell me about you.
I think for me, it probably was when I started modeling. And the reason why I started modeling is because I never saw anyone that looks like me on billboards, magazines, on TV. Like, I felt so isolated, and I thought, if I feel like this, can you imagine how other people that might look like me feels? You know, the first time I ever saw someone that had my condition and was black was when I was 13. So it was a long time, it was a while. So I thought to myself, okay, let me start modeling. They might accept me, they might not, but let me feel the fear and do it anyway. I started reading self-help books at the time to like prep me up to do modeling, and then I did it, and it was an underwear shoot. I'd never done anything like that before. Like, I was proper nervous about doing it, but I kept saying to myself all these affirmations, feel the fear and do it anyway. And my friend, she loved the pictures from the shoot, and she said, post it online. And I was like, online? What? Like, everyone's gonna see it? And at the time I had like 500 followers, nothing crazy. And when I posted it, it went crazy. It went viral, and I thought to myself, okay, well, now I've got an audience to appease. So let me keep doing this, you know? I don't know where this is gonna go, but I know that I have a community out here now. I need to build this now. I need to set an example. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but let me just keep going with this, even though I'm terrified every time I post. You know, a lot of people stop post, like a lot of people don't wanna post because they're scared about what people will think or how they'll be perceived. But at the same time, it's like, what about the positives? What about the message? What about inspiring another generation? You know, there's so many positives to it. So I think that was the light bulb moment for me, to be honest.
Nia, you mentioned earlier that when you first started posting that you suffered with acne, and you know, I love you said that, you know, don't wait for this quote unquote perfect moment. But was there a light bulb moment for you of like, do you know what, I've got this confidence now?
It wasn't actually to do with acne, but more so my hair. Similar to Paige, obviously you hid your hair. I actually hid behind my hair. So I used to have a big blonde mane. I literally looked like a lion. This was about 8 years ago. And I couldn't go anywhere without my hair big and curly. And there was a time when a post went viral, and I was very young, so very impressionable. And I remember reading a comment that said, "Who is she without her hair?" That really hit a nerve because I didn't know. And I decided to shave my hair. So 8 years ago, I shaved off my hair completely. And that was the scariest thing I've done because especially my dad, he was always seeing PR boxes come through. And he was like, oh my God, they're not gonna send you Nike trainers anymore. And he was so, he was petrified. He was like, this is the worst thing that could happen. And as soon as I shaved my hair, I went on this beautiful journey of loving and learning myself without my hair. And it was the best thing I could have ever done because I got to embrace femininity. I got to embrace my skin, my style, and it was honestly a life-changing moment. So having short hair, I think, is a very powerful move. And I really encourage it. So shout out to you, Paige, because you're killing it and you're owning it. And it's an amazing feeling.
Ella, I'm going to pass the question to you as well. I feel like, you know, with social media and being post-Love Island, you have like an explosion of visibility. Was there a moment within that you were like, right, I've got to feel confident now? Or were you very strong in that pre-Love Island?
Yeah, I think it is a lot when you go on such a big TV show because people have so much to say about you and what you look like, and they always want to give their comments as if it's not like you're not a real person because you're someone they've seen on TV. But I think over the years I've built more of a thick skin to it. Like few years ago when I was younger, I signed to a model agency and started modeling, which I thought was going to be all glam, because you do think that, you know, I'm going to be a model, I'm going to be a supermodel. But you actually get so much rejection. So I remember when I had first signed and I started doing castings, and they'd always tell me the jobs they put me forward for, and I couldn't believe how many no's that I would get. I would get some yeses, but it would be a lot more no's than yes. And it would really affect me mentally, because I was relying on like my career and these people, these bookers of the jobs, I was relying on them for like validation. And it got to a point that I actually was so low with it, and I was feeling so low, but this was something I was really excited about. And I just had to have a talk with myself and be like, you cannot rely on their validation to make you feel good. And it got to a point that when I would have jobs, I would put like those little self-help things on in the car the whole way, and I would feel cringe doing it at the time, but I would literally say like positive affirmations, like just speaking love into myself. And I used to do it every single day, and I would feel uncomfortable doing it. But it got to a point that like your subconscious really starts to believe what you're saying. And then I started to not care anymore. And I felt like the more I stopped caring, the more positive feedback I'd get, like the better jobs I would get, because I was just in like a healthy mindset, and I just was really pouring that love into myself and felt good. So that set me up for going on Love Island, because it's savage out there. You've got to have a thick skin.
I think it's really empowering when you just actually realise, guess what, I don't care anymore. And I think that that is something, I will say, I don't know how old you are, but it comes with age. The older I'm getting, the less I care. And you know that, what's that book by Mel Robbins, The Let Them Theory? Before Let Them, there was the F Them. And quite often, sometimes I think like, am I worried or scared because of what I think, or because of other people?
I think the reason that I want people to give the book to their niece, your daughter, and I mean so serious, is because that's true, and I don't want that anymore. I don't want it to have to be that, like, you have to be batter and bruise up and get to 30, 40, 50 and then say, oh, now, like, I don't want that if possible. I'd like us to try and, like, nip it in the bud, like 15. So if we could, Christmas is coming.
But you're right, there is nothing, when you see, like, a super empowered young woman or teenager, and I think, yeah, no, when I was a teenager, I was in the trenches, you know? So you're right, start them early. Any other questions? Yes, number 3 in the middle.
Hi, my question is for Paige. Hi, I love your afro.
Oh, thank you, same.
So I've been relaxing my hair for a while, and it's completely damaged my natural hair. This year I finally stopped because, yeah, thank you. I finally stopped because it was just completely damaged, and now I'm going through the route of trying to embrace my own natural coils. Mm-hmm. My question to you is, I don't want to use any products or chemical products or anything. What did you do to nourish that beautiful afro hair? Any products that you can recommend for me at all?
Water.
Okay.
No, I'm joking. But I'm being so serious. For example, today, maybe like this much leave-in. And that was just because I was feeling a little spicy. Like, I didn't need to do that. Truly, I didn't. I don't use anything more than my shampoo, my conditioner on wash day. And then, to be honest, this one, right here at the end of this lady, her hair care range is fabulous. And you know why? Because she's got products that help protect against assault. It says assault on the box, so she already knows who she's selling to. She's aware. So when I saw that, I thought, great, because what we need to be doing more than anything if we're using additional products after the conditioner is protecting the hair, but no greasing, no lubing. The key thing is a routine. That's the most important thing. With this afro, I shampoo it, oftentimes 2 to 3 times. Take my time, don't rush through the shampooing. Okay, we're trying to get the dirt off. Then conditioner, again, the conditioning part, I elevate with heat. And that has been a game changer for me. And then after that point, a very light layer of leave-in and I am good to go. So the need to keep adding product and keep layering product, I just don't see the point anymore. I feel like I have seen the light and it doesn't have any kind of curl cream pudding pie in it unless it's for a specific occasion or a specific style. The other key thing is to start getting comfortable with seeing it like this. Yeah? Because my hair is growing like a weed because I'm leaving it alone and I don't feel the need to twizzle anything unless I want to. Don't let your grandma at Christmas time, don't let your uncle at Easter, don't let nobody tell you nothing. Your hair looks good like this and it will grow faster if you leave it alone. I'm excited for you. I'm selling books. Come and get a book. I will sign the book. Okay.
Yes, number 2.
Hi, ladies. My name is Lauren. First of all, this is such an esteemed panel, and it's really empowering to just be in a room with women like this and have these discussions, first of all. So I'm a salon owner. I have a niche lash and brow salon, the Lash Surgery. And recently, I've become a brand ambassador for quite big brands, so like Professional Beauty, Lash Base UK. And I'm often finding I'm the only person of color that is a brand ambassador for these people. So my question, kind of to all of you, is how do you really start having conversations on a deeper, meaningful level and be an advocate for change when you're working with brands that are mostly Caucasian?
Oof.
Big question.
Yeah, I'm going to start with this one, and then I will pass it down. So I was the first and only ever black head of beauty buying for a luxury retailer. So what that meant was having conversations with the big bosses, the presidents of all of our favorite luxury beauty brands. And I would quite often, well, 99% of the time, be the only person of color, full stop, in the meeting. And I remember having conversations with brands, big luxury, skincare, hair care, color brands, and saying, we've got to change it. We're going to change it. And they look at me like, sorry, what? Because they've not been ever told this ever. If you look at luxury beauty buying, there aren't people of color. They look like a family, right? Like my team before I joined looked like they were sisters. And I was like, but when you're then onboarding, your black-owned brands post-2020, who's tested it? Guess what? Nobody. So then the brands didn't sell, so then we had to delist the brands, and which then was difficult in itself. And I just think that the balance is so hard, so I fully understand the question, and how do you address what you need to address whilst at the same time maintaining the relationship and also the opportunity. And I think, like I said earlier, sometimes you just have to do it and be delicate in it, of course. But I think, someone mentioned earlier, thinking about who's going to come after you, because you're the first now, but you won't be the first forever. And with that comes responsibility, but it's power. So I think really being so rooted in yourself and why you want to extend it out, and just standing there, being very confident and making it clear why you want to include more diversity, and also why they should. When it's business, do you know what they care about? Cash money only. So always tie it back to how it's going to grow their business and their profit. But I think the thing to do is to do it. And outside of that, anybody else, I know that we all work with luxury brands here.
I was just going to say, one of the biggest things you have to really do, and it's not easy, but you have to know when to walk away. And when I say that, they'll come back. The amount of very large brands that ignored me, they just left me on red at the beginning of my journey. They came back, but the importance is that they realized that what they were asking for that was completely ridiculous, that I said no to, then they realized, well, we can't come to her with that nonsense again then. And we probably should review whether or not we should go to any other person of color with that, because it lost us the opportunity to work with this person. So it's also having a bit of integrity. Yeah, we can cash checks all day, but we have to remember that that's going to have an impact, and whatever we're cashing and what we're promoting is going to spread. So do you want your name attached to the thing that spreads, that causes harm to the people that you're supposed to be protecting?
Ewoma?
Yeah, just to add to that, as someone that's been, global ambassador for like the biggest beauty skincare brands out there, the way that I like to think about it is definitely more in a diplomatic way. I completely agree with what both the beautiful ladies here have said, but I like to approach things, from a more diplomatic way. And as they say, there's different ways of skinning a cat, right? So by all means, you can approach it from the point of view of being very sort of direct, outright, calling things out, but also, there's other ways of doing things, such as, just sort of subtly, showing a little bit of displeasure at things. So just being a little bit more subtle or palatable with your feedback and criticism. Because again, I feel like if we're going to make that real significant change, you have to speak in their language. And so kicking off and doing the most, that's not what they're going to respond to. So really just speaking in their language. And then also, if you feel like you're not quite in a position, especially if it's a new brand, if you're not quite in the position to speak up there and then, even just doing a good job in your specific brand ambassador role is such a beacon of change. Because if they can tangibly show with their KPIs that, oh, actually, by bringing you on as a brand ambassador, we've managed to, hit a specific demographic that we've never been able to. We've tangibly seen an improvement to sales and things like that. That in itself is going to show them that they need to take this conversation seriously.
Well, thank you. I can see we ran out of time it's flashing at me, but, not too bad. I want to say thank you so much to the panel of panels, frankly. Paige, Ewoma, Fats, Nia, Ella, Vanita. Thank you to you guys, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Rhea. Give it up for Rhea, everybody. Our fantastic moderator, and give it up for our esteemed panel.